Welcome to Let's Talk Jets Radio.
Mr. Prime Time.
Been waiting all day for this one. How you doing, man?
Well, I mean, what could possibly be wrong?
Oh, nothing. Just some Twitter wars, some SNY post-game stuff to discuss. Whatever you want to get into, man. Whatever you want to get into today.
Well, we will do a full recap from top to bottom, left to right, off the field, on the field, the media, the fans. We'll discuss it all because that's what we're here for, man.
I'm here for it tonight.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us. We definitely appreciate it. Funny you say this, Mark. We have a shirt that can help you support that cause. If you guys want shirts, I ordered some more. We ran out of certain sizes, so I had to refund a bunch of them. So if you guys want to get more shirts, I'll have more in about a week and a half. I'll let you guys know. We have plenty of Let's Talk Jets regular shirts, but we'll promote that stuff another day. So obviously, the day after a game like that, there's a lot of hot takes and everything like that, but the one thing I want to touch with first is, the weird thing is, like, after the game, I was legitimately mad when they lost. And because sometimes, as over the last couple of years, we haven't had many games like this where the Jets played so well. And as a fan, you get caught up in it, man. You're like, your competitive spirits get going. And like, you don't think about draft picks. You don't think about, like, you're like, I want to win this game. I want to beat a very good Buccaneers team. I want to beat Tom Brady. Like, your heart, like, you get emotionally involved. Like, I don't give a shit about like podcasts, radio shows, like, like, I'm like, dude, as a fan, you're sitting here like, this is my team that I love, that we invest so much. Like, I want to see them find a way to win this game so we can be proud of them. Like, dude, they're making progress. They're like, dude, you just get caught up in it, dude. And that's why I was so mad and frustrated after the game. Cause I'm like, dude, it was a letdown. Like, you're so disappointed.
Today, you could see things a lot differently. You could take a step back. You could look at all the progress. Yesterday, heat of the moment, I was right there with you. The 4th and 2 and those last 2 minutes, completely in that moment. Obviously, today, you look at it differently. But in that moment, it wiped away so much of the feel-good story of what they had did. For a young team that had struggled all year, even the 3 wins, the Jaguars, like, what is it that really?
Garbage.
And then the Bengal game, like, they were missing half their players, the receivers were out, the Titans were missing their receivers. Like, you had all these games, and this was the first one. It was like a legitimate Super Bowl team and the best quarterback in all of football who's been beating your ass for 2 decades. And that would have been a feel-good win, just a good moral story. And like for Zach Wilson too, especially to have that game going into the offseason, I really wanted that one. So it was
and that's the thing. Like, and that was the same thing. And it's funny because people were watching our videos and seeing our stream 4 or 5 hours later and stuff like that. And not to discount what we did, but like, we're in the moment watching the game and we're reacting right then and there. It's easy to criticize us or do whatever you want the next day because once, 4 hours after the game last night, my perspective changed. I started attacking everybody, watching some of the ridiculous reactions. But I'm like, in the heat of the moment, like, this is where you're fans. Like, you're sitting here like, I want to beat Tom Brady. I want Zach. Like, you want all these things to happen.
That, and at some point, it's got to be about something other than draft picks. We've been looking forward to draft picks for how long? At some point, you need the players that are here to experience winning, to experience real, legitimate progress. And that would have been a win yesterday. And it's not to say that they didn't make progress anyway. It was still a competitive effort considering all the guys that were out. But the narrative changes a little. I mean, look at what we've been talking about. Like, look at what every radio station's been talking about today. It's all about the 4th and 2. Nothing about all the great throws that Zach Wilson was making yesterday. Nothing about all the defensive players that were stepping up. None of that. You're hearing about 4th and 2 in that play call. That's all everybody's talking about.
And then that's the thing. It's like going into the game yesterday, and I'm being completely transparent because I have a preview video that was up. I thought the Jets were getting blown out, dude. I thought that the Buccaneers had a better coaching staff, better players on both sides of the ball. The Jets players they needed were out. Even Quinn Williams was out. Like, all these guys were out, like the receivers and everything else. So I'm like, you know what? What we all said going into the game was just be competitive, give your best effort, keep Zach Wilson healthy. Don't let him get run off the field, especially with Todd Bowles blitzing him, all that stuff. So my expectations were so low. And as the game played out, you're like, holy shit, dude. Not only was it fun to watch, but your competitive juices get flowing. Like, dude, they can win this game. They should win this game. And that's where all your emotions get involved. And like I said, I don't care about what people are saying on Twitter or social media. Like, this is me being a Jets fan. Like, dude, in the heat of the moment, I want my team to win, especially when this isn't like years past, dude. This isn't like the Adam Gase years. This is a young coaching staff and a young team that's trying to learn how to find themselves, find ways to win, grow, develop, and progress. And you're seeing all of it. So you're like, dude, this win, this whole scenario meant a lot more. Even the loss is going to benefit them because they're going to learn a lot from this loss. They're going to like this whole, and we actually, in all fairness, we talked about this in the fourth quarter yesterday.
Yep.
That was here's the first time Sal's in a big spot with his staff and his team and his young quarterback, a fourth quarter in a game that you're leading against a very good team. How are you going to handle it? How are you going to manage it? How are you going to perform? So it was a learning experience all the way around.
Yeah. As much as the loss sucks, you can almost make the argument that the loss and how they lost it, as far as, what Wilson experienced, the lack of communication, realizing how one play can completely eliminate 58 minutes of great work. That's a great learning experience in and of itself. For Saleh, for Wilson, for LaFleur, for all these guys to realize what you have to do to beat a team like the Bucs.
Yeah. So before we go into the 4th and 2, and I'm going to leave like the Zach Wilson thing all the way to the end. I want to cover a lot of positives before that. But before we go into the game thing, the one thing, no, because it's gonna derail everything. The chat's gonna go all crazy. But the one thing I do want to talk about is there are times where I think people, they cherry pick certain topics just to make fun of the Jets and bash the Jets and attack the Jets. And to me, the criticism of Brandon Echols yesterday was utterly fucking ridiculous, because here is a rookie, a 6th-round pick, who just picked off one of the best players of all time. And after the game, he got the ball. So he took the ball and got signed by Tom Brady. And there is this outrage. What a loser. What a chump. He's got to grow up. Got to do all this. Salicata said this. And then the WFAN little flunkies followed him. And my thing is, wow, that's interesting, because I remember when Le'Veon Bell was here, they were swapping jerseys every week with players. Everybody was all infatuated with Le'Veon Bell. I remember watching Odell Beckham every week, changing jersey people. I watched Russell Wilson do it. I watched Mahomes do it. I watch every superstar in the NFL do it after every game. To now sit here and nitpick and rip Brandon Echols is amateur hour bullshit, dude.
Every single player does it. Every team does it. I don't have an issue with it. I don't personally like it. Like, just the competitor in me. Like, I don't believe in like talking with other coaches, talking with other players during the game. Like, I think baseball, football, like every sport now, like the players have become more of like a fraternity, and you lose a little bit of that competitive edge. So I don't personally like it. But yeah, like you just said, though, it's, he's a young player who's 22, 23 years old. He's been watching Brady throw touchdowns his entire life. He's a fucking rookie, and he gets a pick off of him. And what might be his last season or one of his last 2 seasons, he might not even face Brady again. So I have no issue with him asking for the autograph. Would I have done it on the field? Probably not. But I've maybe asked him in private, probably. But I have no issue with it. It shouldn't even be a story.
But and the thing is, dude, it's like, and I learned this lesson. Like, I'm old, dudes. I've learned this lesson about 10 years ago, because I would sit there in a stadium. The Jets would lose like a close game. I would be furious out of my mind. I'd watch the players go up, shake hands, hang out, walk off the field laughing, go hang out. And then a lot of times I'd go out after the game. I'd see the players out, hanging out, chilling out. I'm like, dude, you know what? This is a business for them. It's a game. It's a brother. They're all friends. It's like, and the equivalent to this is too, a lot of times the biggest MMA fights you see, all these big MMA fights, all this bad blood, all this stuff. Once that fight is over, these guys all go out together after the fights, man. Yep. And that's they're barbaric. I mean, they're beating the living hell out of each other. You're like, oh, bad blood. I can't believe it. This guy's gonna be pissed for weeks. They're upset, dude. They go to after parties. They all hang out. This is a changing. It's like that take from Salicata is so old school, and it's just. But I just found that fascinating. He picks on Brandon Echols. I'm like, literally, how many other games are played? Just say you do players take pictures. You see them all over Instagram. It's just like, come on,
honestly,
be better than that.
I think a lot of it sometimes just comes from the Jet fan base, the Jets Twitter place, where they know the Jet fan is going to go nuts anytime you rip something or just bash something without any kind of merit. The Zach Wilson character stuff, with the Echols, the autograph, like all these little things that all these analysts like to nitpick at. They know the Jet fan's going to react to it, so they put these stories out there and they get the attention that they want out of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the tone once we get to the media portion of this. People chasing hot takes to get the notoriety and get their claim to fame, but they're getting exposed now. So, like I said, we're going to save the 4th and 2 and Zach Wilson to the end, because there's a lot of really good things here that I don't want to lose focus on, because there legitimately is a lot of positives that happened yesterday, considering all the circumstances. So the first one is, we'll go with the running backs. So you come in, Michael Carter starts off like a ball of fire. You're like, all right, we're going. And he gets hurt, dude. Concussion. I'd be surprised if he plays this weekend. But you're like, all right, now what are they going to do? Because P. Ryan was out, Tevin Coleman's out. So now you got Austin Walter and Ty Johnson, and they both stepped up. But to me, Austin Walter's showing a lot of stuff, dude. He's explosive. He's physical. He trucked that one. Was it a safety linebacker?
Yeah,
He ran
right over him. Yep.
Dude, that kid's a little player, man.
Yeah. No, I wish they would have gotten, a look at him a little bit earlier in the year, but better late than never. He's been in training camp all year. He was with the practice squad, so finally getting an opportunity now. It's clear that P. Ryan's in the doghouse. He's probably got no future here. So yeah, he's going to get a chance next week. He'll probably be the starter with Ty Johnson. I think those two would probably rotate as the 1 and 2. So let's see what he's got.
Yeah, so you go from the running backs to tight end position, which has been a complete disaster, and then after yesterday's game, it's a bigger disaster because now Daniel Brown's hurt, or Dan Brown, whatever his name is.
Yeah. Kenny Yeboah.
But Dan Brown had the big catch. Should never jump for the extra yards, but whatever.
Yeah.
But can Kenny Yeboah, a guy everybody is high on coming out of the draft, and the undrafted guy, 2 catches yesterday, been on a practice squad, but you're starting to see, and the catches he made were nice, dude. Like they're legitimate. So maybe that's something that he can build on. It's a little bit of bright spot tight end position.
No, it's something. It's guys that can fill in. Yeboah, Walter, these guys probably aren't starters next year, but at the very least, if they can fill in depth roles, they know the offense. It would be a second year in the system. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so then you keep going there. So the running backs, they had a huge running game, man. They kept running the ball. Ty Johnson, a guy that I forgot. I was so mad at him. I forgot about he's on our team. He came out, put up some big time, catching the ball out of the backfield, blitz pickup, running the ball with some power. So he looked good. The tight ends even contributed. You go to wide receivers, and Braxton Berrios is becoming a star with the Jets. He just is, because now it's like you're down 3 receivers, and that was my big thing going into this. Was like, oh Jesus, like you have a blitzing Buccaneers, defense. Can these guys get open? Who's going to step up? You have Keelan Cole, you have Mims. You thought Berrios, Jeff Smith, and Berrios, dude, is just he's like a rock star at the Jets right now.
No, it's a great story, and the fact that we got him from Belichick, we got him from the Patriots, that only makes it even more sweeter, and he's been in the program now for a little over 2 years. He's finally getting his shot, and he's just running with it. He's earned every bit of whatever contract he gets, whether it's from the Jets or somebody else. Hopefully it's from the Jets. And, considering that Cole and most likely Crowder are both going to be gone next year, it makes all the sense in the world to try to bring him back.
Yeah, and I'm a Keelan Cole fan. Like, I liked him coming here. I liked the signing. And his drops every week are driving me insane. Like, I'm done. I'm done with the experience, because now it's clutch time. Now is like when you're next man up, you're expected to play a prominent role in this offense. Those weekly drops drive you absolutely batshit crazy. So he can go. Crowder's hurt. I mean, now it's like, your return on investment really wasn't worth it with him. He should have been traded. But then everybody's like, Mims is going to step up. Mims, not that he did step up. He didn't even play, dude. Jeff Smith, according to Saleh, bypassed him on the depth chart based on what he's doing in practice and the effort he brings and the amount of development he's made. Yep. Mims is done. Mims is cooked, dude. He's out of here.
If he's not getting an opportunity with your top 3 wideouts out, I mean, what more is there to see? Unless he's going to have some kind of, dramatic change this offseason, healthy diet, come into camp, some kind of like Megatron looking guy. I can't imagine anything's going to change where, he's in some kind of prominent role in the offense next year.
Yeah, so then you go from there, and to me, one of the biggest surprises for me personally was the play of the offensive line. Now, I thought the loss of McGovern was going to be huge, and then you add in that George Fant gets hurt, and this line, they ran for how many yards? 150 yards? But, dude, they were playing physical. You got to give credit to the offensive line coach. What's his name? Benton. But, dude, Dan Feeney played his ass off, dude. LDT played his ass off. Adoga came in. I know you up a sack. Dude, they played physical. They manned up, and, dude, it's – good.
And he had a penalty, but we don't need to talk about that. He's probably not coming back next year as a free agent. But again, like you were just saying, though, 3 different reserves all in there at prominent spots. Your starting left tackle has been out all year, and then you lose the guy who stepped up and replaced him in the middle of the game, on top of already being down your center. I think all of this collectively just speaks volumes about the job that LaFleur's been able to do more than anything else. He's kept this thing together without quarterbacks, without multiple receivers, O-linemen, tight ends, running backs. Like, the entire offense has been decimated at almost every single position at points of this year. And beyond week 4 and 5, LaFleur's kept this thing together. So I think he deserves the most credit for that.
Yeah, and I think, I remember when they hired, I'm pretty sure his name is Benton, right? John Benton?
Yeah, John Benton. Yeah, he's the run game coordinator and something else with the offense.
Yeah, so I remember when they hired him, people were questioning he's not a good offensive line coach. I'm like, I remember last year when the Jets had all kinds of offensive line problems, they mailed it in. The offensive line was a complete disaster, didn't know their ass from their elbow, getting run all over the place because he had built-in excuses. This line's making no excuses. They're week in and week out, they're manning up with different combinations. Like LDT's been a fine, dude, at right guard. Morgan Moses is doing thing, but it's just, and I'm impressed by Feeney. I was legitimately worried he was going to get manhandled yesterday and Zach Wilson to run for his life. You didn't see a ridiculous amount of blown snaps and high snaps. And, it was like a smooth transition, man, which was I give them all credit, dude. We've been hard on them, and we've been critical of a lot of them, but you got to give them credit, dude. You seriously do.
Yeah, like you just said also, I mean, I think it speaks volumes also that they haven't checked out at this point in the year. You know, a lot of guys and a lot of teams that we've seen in the past at this point in the season, when the team isn't really playing for anything, they kind of start to check out and they take plays off. And this team, it's been the complete opposite of that over these last few weeks.
Yeah, so you go from the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, and this is where I was like, I thought they were going to give 30-something points. I was worried about, and they had, before the game, they had Mike Evans come back, they had Antonio Brown come back. You're like, Jesus, like they have everybody here. We can't cover tight ends. They had 2 good tight ends. You know, they're light at running back, but still they had Ronald Jones, they have Le'Veon Bell. So you're like, how is this defense going to stop them? And, you know, same way the offense started out. The defense started out fast. They started out physical. They manned up. They were getting after it. You know, and I know Tom Brady ended the game with 400-something yards, and we'll get into the fourth quarter disaster there. But for the most part, the young guys, and it's like the young secondary is getting tested. Bryce Hall, Echols, Michael Carter. And talk about learning experience, dude. You're facing a very good offense with very good playmakers all over the field. And for the most part, they were holding their own, dude. They went toe-to-toe with them.
Yeah, those are the guys on defense that have been impressing me the most. You know, the front seven all year has been kind of lackluster, you know, especially against the run. But even, you know, the pass rush, it's been non-existent more times than it's actually been there. But the young guys, considering, again, this matchup, who they were going up against with Antonio Brown for the first half at least, and then Mike Evans all game, like those are some legitimate, prominent receivers for these guys. Probably the best duo that they faced all year. And, you know, they held their own. They gave up some big plays, but it was more like bend but don't break. And you could deal with that for a young secondary, I think.
Yeah, they were flying around. And you had like, you know, Fadakasi made some plays. Like they were all contributing. And, you know, you're without Quinn Williams, which is like, all right, you know, like everybody's finding ways to do things. They all contributed. CJ Mosley played well. Quincy Williams, like, you know, and then so you had a lot of really good things. You just, in terms of preparation coming out in the first half, this was the first game where you're like, every quarter, you're like, wow, there's another quarter they put together. Like both sides of the football, like complementary football. Like the offense got points, defense got off the field. Like they were all contributing together. They were well prepared. They were well coached. All these good things were happening. So then you have a lead and you go into the fourth quarter. And this is where things became a lot more nerve-wracking. And you're trying to figure out, all right, how is this team going to react to it? Because to this point, we'll start before the fourth quarter. To this point, Zach Wilson was playing his best game that I've ever seen. He was quick with his reads, decisive, making ridiculous throws where I think he made probably 4 or 5 throws where you're like, dude, the window was so friggin' small. He's throwing rockets. He looked comfortable. He threw the one screen pass. I think it was to Ty Johnson, which was remarkable. He had a great throw to Keelan Cole. He unfortunately dropped it. But going before the fourth quarter, dude, that was Zach Wilson looked like a whole new quarterback, dude. He looked so in command and in control. It was remarkable.
Comfortable, confident, using his mobility at times, going through the progressions, especially the footwork looked much better. You know, he just looked in control and command of the offense, you know, and that's all we wanted to see. And he's been building slowly, I think, over the last few weeks, where it was like first, you know, he kind of cut down on the interceptions and the turnovers. Now he's actually starting to complete more of these passes. He's even making some audibles at the line of scrimmage. He just looks like he's looking like the part right now. And that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, this is fourth game in a row with no interception. But, you know, so you have Zach Wilson's playing great. At this point, Mike LaFleur is just dealing with his play calling. Like, to sit there and watch this game, like, I felt like, wow, the Jets have returned to the NFL. Like, years, I was envious of everybody else. Like, we would watch our games, be like, this is terrible. You watch everybody else, be like, why can't our offense look like that? Yesterday, the last couple of weeks, our offense looked like the rest of the NFL. Like, wow, this is innovative play calling, taking advantage of mismatches. Mismatches when we don't have our top 3 receivers. They're running the ball with authority with the backup running back and a banged up offensive line. Like, so many good things. I'm like, dude, who is this Jets team? Like, you're like, wow, we were waiting for games like this. Now, I understand you had the Bengal game. You mentioned the Titans game. The Jaguars game was like, whatever, dude. Like, you knew that was going to be a toilet bowl. But this was like prominent competition. The team stepped up and you're proud of them. Like, this is what you wanted to see from the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and head coach going into the fourth quarter. So we get into the fourth quarter. So we get into the fourth quarter, and this is where you see the difference between the top teams in the NFL and teams that are struggling to find their way and have to learn how to win. So on offense, the Jets, the first 2 series, I believe they went 3-and-out, which is not good. On defense, you know, the defense started to struggle a little bit. And the one thing, my biggest criticism that I don't think people talk about enough with this team is they don't blitz a lot, man. And during the game, when we talked about it, I was begging for them, please send somebody here. A couple times they did, and they got results with it. They were getting the forced throws. And Brady's not a mobile guy. Get him off his spot. Try to just rattle him a little bit. And they started doing that, but not enough. So going to fourth quarter, Brady gets in rhythm, and then it starts to slowly be like, how many times the Jets, man, have we seen this before, especially from the defense, where in big spots they don't get off the field?
Yeah. I mean, what am I supposed to say to that? I mean, I think we all kind of knew what was coming there, and I mean, I agree with you. I wanted to see more pressure, but I wonder how much of that is solid, just not maybe trusting the young corners, not wanting to leave these guys on an island. I don't know, but I'd much rather see them get tested in those situations than just playing prevent and sitting back and trying to protect the lead the way they were.
So you had the game 24-20. And the Jets offense had to do something. The defense was just struggling. They were scratching and clawing, but they couldn't get stops, and they were. But it was like you could tell that Tom Brady's guys were ready to take advantage of it. So the Jets offense, they march right down the field, dude. Nice long drive. You're marching down the field. I'm like, this is perfect. This is the Zach Wilson's time to shine. This is exactly what you want to see from this team. The perfect, response to all the adversity they faced. And they were prepared. They were coached. They got there. So they get the 4th and 2. So I first guessing it, I like the call. I like the aggressive nature because I've seen Tom Brady too many times before. If they kick a field goal, fine, but I can see going right down the field, 27-27, going for 2, whatever else. I like the call going for the first down. I liked it. Did you like the call or do you want the field goal?
Considering where we are record-wise, I mean, it didn't really matter that much. If this was a playoff game, if this was a big game, I would expect to kick the field goal there. If it was 4th and inches, 4th and 1, maybe a little different, but 4th and 2, I think it's a little bit different. So at that situation, I'm taking the field goal, trusting that if my defense does give up a touchdown, at the very least, we're playing for overtime. Otherwise, you're in position, you got to force them to get 7.
Yeah, I like the play call, especially when you look pretty much around the NFL now. That's kind of the trend where everybody's going with the analytics. Like you see the Ravens always going for it. You see the Chiefs always going for it. A lot of these teams, and I know the Ravens aren't the benchmark or whatever, but a lot of teams now are going with analytics like the Rams and going for a fourth down.
Yeah.
So I like the aggressive nature of it. I thought it was great. So we were talking about it firsthand, especially during a timeout. You're like, all right, you want either Zach Wilson to use his legs or just spread the ball out, give it to Austin Walter, get the ball to Berrios. A lot of things we all expected, right? This was watch our stream. We talked about it, dude. Like we thought about every play we would call there.
Yeah, and I think you even mentioned possibly giving it to Berrios on the end around. I think that was something that they even did on 4th and inches earlier in the year to Elijah Moore, and it worked. They got like 10 yards on it.
Yep. So they called the play that we all know about at this point, which was ridiculously disappointing. So before we'll go into the reaction.
Well, hold on. The play call you thought was disappointing? Or the communication of what was supposed to happen on the play call was disappointing.
Yeah,
the play call was the right play call. The play call would have worked if it went as intended. The communication was fucked up.
The play call, if it as should have went, would have been good. The way it performed was bad. It didn't work out. So now you have the Jets have Tom Brady. They have 93 yards to get a touchdown. I believe they had no timeouts, right? The Buccaneers were out of timeouts at that point, weren't they?
Yeah.
So here's a point that I don't think anybody's talking about because everybody's so focused in on the Jets choking on 4th and 2nd. You have 93 yards to somebody make a friggin' play and be aggressive and just find a way. Whether it's John Franklin Myers, whether it's Fatukasi, whether it's Mosley, somebody's got to make a play. And if you keep they started out, dinking and dunking, but then they're going to take the explosives, the new word in the NFL. Everybody's worried about the explosives, but they started getting them. And prime time, it was like watching a slow death because I've seen it before. Mm-hmm. If you're going to let Tom Brady sit there, he's going to pick you apart. You can't do it. And I hated the soft nature of the Jets' approach on that last drive. I hated it.
No, me too. And the explanation from Saleh afterwards, I mean, he was thinking like exactly what we were just saying. Like it made no sense as far as just trying to keep guys in bounds, run the clock out. Like, no, you got to get after this guy and actually, force him into making a mistake or get him off the field. If you just sit back, drop 7 guys into coverage, he's going to pick you apart like he's done to us for 2 decades, which he did.
Yep. And the thing is, too, is then you're looking at it, and it's like when you see them in that kind of rhythm, you're like, all right, the one thing you don't do in that situation is go up the deep shot. You don't do that. I understand Elijah Riley is new to this, and he's inexperienced, and he's but you don't put him in that situation, dude. Like, that's just the thing that can't happen. And this is from a coach, a head coach, this is his background, a defensive coordinator that's got some experience. To me, that last drive was inexcusable. Like, you can't let that happen. Like, It should never have been that easy. Elijah Riley shouldn't have been in that spot. And that to me is just, and keep in mind, this was also, we had a 3rd and 20 earlier in the game they blew.
Yep. No, it was like they played to lose. I mean, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah. Scared to lose.
Yeah.
So they do that. And then, so you have, the Jets, Tom Brady makes an amazing throw. The Jets lose. It's heartbreaking. It's frustrating. And it's like, you walk away saying, what could have, what should have. You're frustrated because the Jets, this performance is probably better than most of the wins they've had. Like, this was a complete team effort where they brought their A game for 58 minutes, not even 59. Well, probably, 58 minutes. So you go back to the 4th and 2 play, which has been discussed over and over and over. And there's been a lot of different reactions here. And I guess now, do you want to go with the SNY stuff, or you just want to go with the initial reactions to the play call?
We can go into all of it. I'm ready for all of it.
So we'll go to the 4th and 2 first. So when they asked Saleh about it, he said, listen, it's a huge communication issue. Like, they know what they wanted to call, but they didn't explain it to him well enough to Zach Wilson to understand it. So to me, it's like, how is that possible when you guys are all in the same headset? You could all figure it out. And at this point, Mike LaFleur just tells him, get the ball in Berrios' hands. We're going to call play XYZ, blah, 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 blah. You must give the ball to Berrios. It's not hard, dude. It's not. You just have to do it.
And here's the other part. I said this in my video earlier. I forgot to mention it yesterday. When that ball was snapped, there was 19 seconds left on the play clock. They don't turn off the headsets in the quarterback's helmet until there's 15 seconds left on the play clock. So aside from the minute that they had to discuss the play during the timeout, they still had 21 seconds when they were lining up when the play clock started, where LaFleur or somebody could have communicated that to Zach. And so as dumb as the decision was for Zach to try to think he had that A gap open and he could have ran, I know Anthony Beck apparently said it was open. I know almost everybody else said no. Vita Vea and the 3 other guys were all stacked there. I don't know how he could have thought that it was open. But regardless, a rookie can make that mistake. I don't expect the lack of communication to come from my offensive coordinator and my head coach. I expect them to understand that play call is in their playbook for 4th and inches and 4th and 1. Yep. So if Wilson has the ability to tuck and run on that play call, then why would you think he's not thinking that in that moment? I mean, 4th and 2, you're thinking like he's thinking like a veteran at this point. Like, no, like treat him with kid gloves until he shows you otherwise. Tell him specifically what he has to do in that situation.
And that's what Saleh said today. Saleh's like, because they're asking him, like, because like the whole SNY shit, which is ridiculous. But they're like, listen, like, this kid is still swimming in the playbook. He's still trying to find himself, figure things out. Do you think he's going to play hero ball right now? He's going to be like, you know what? I'm going to take the play call and do this. And it was funny because Boomer Esiason made a very good point today. He's like, when he played, he's like, the Cincinnati Bengals, they had a play call. It was like, I think CARI. Like, you knew when they called this that I do not run the ball, I hand it off. Like, there's like, you have a signal, like, listen, here's the play call. You have to. Like, you don't think, you come back, you have that. So to me, it's a learning experience. So, I listen, mistakes happen. This is a young staff, dude. Like, shit's going to happen. You're in the heat of the moment, coming off a timeout. It's terrible. Well, it's a lack of communication, whatever it is, they're all going to learn from it. And it's brutal because they should have won the game. The play call would have worked. That's the ultimate could have and should have, because we were all expecting something different than what happened. But the most disappointing aspect of all this is the utter nonsense that followed this game. And this is, I mean, do I have to go? I mean, I'm probably going to go off, to be honest with you, because I'm completely disturbed by this.
I'll follow you too. So go ahead.
So I'm sitting here and I was mad that the play happened, but I never at any point thought that Zach Wilson was trying to play hero ball, make it about himself. I think that whatever communication happened, I think he ran what he thought he was supposed to run, and that was it. I don't think anything else to this. Yeah. So after the game was over, I was legitimately pissed off, dude. I was angry as fuck. I texted you, like, you watch this. I'm like, no, I didn't watch nothing. But then I saw all the nonsense going on. I'm like, let me put SNY on at 7:00, because when we do our post game, we can't watch any of this stuff. And honestly, I never really listen to anybody else's takes because I don't want people to act like, oh, you're repeating what so-and-so said. I never want to do that. I don't even watch somebody else's podcast. I just generally don't give a shit.
Neither.
So I'm watching this, and the one thing about this is SNY is the Jets TV channel. Like, the guys on SNY actually get paid by the Jets to come on their show and do their little fucking nonsense on NewYorkJets.com. These are former Jets. They actually get paid by the Jets to do their shows with Eric Allen. So I turn it on, and they start out by calling Zach Wilson Peter Pan. And they say chicken legs, 6 foot 180, needs a protein drink. They're insulting him and mocking him. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't this a Jets show? Now, let me preface this by saying I'm a Bart Scott fan, dude. I have posters, I have signed jerseys, I have signed football. Lee J. Doosable came on our show, dude. We interviewed him 2 or 3 times in the past. Willie Colon, respect the guy. And I'm listening to these guys basically mock and rip the quarterback from a team that pays them to give them analysis on their other shows. And I'm like, wait a minute, is this like a Buffalo Bills show? Like, you're sitting here insulting a player. So then it gets better. So then they're saying all this stuff. Then they start attacking his character. They're saying he's got character flaws.
He's got to apologize.
But he's got to apologize. And Bart Scott called him a jerk and dumb.
Yep.
Now, keep in mind, this is a station that the Jets sponsor. This is their home station that after every Jet game, all the fans go on there. And these guys are sitting there ripping the quarterback with personal attacks and personal insults. For what reason, dude? It's embarrassing. It's pathetic because they have no legs to stand on with this. So you can be professionals and say, you know what? I think he made a mistake there, this and that. But dude, the personal attacks on Zach Wilson, what in the fuck was that?
And they even took it a step further with the selfishness, and it was all about ego. He wanted to get the first down himself so that he could stand up and fist pump and get all the glory. He didn't want to give it to Berrios and have Berrios be the hero. Like, what the fuck? If he beat Tom Brady with all the guys that were out, he's the fucking hero. Nobody else. Look at all the guys that they were missing. If Zach Wilson went toe-to-toe, which he still did anyway, but if he went toe-to-toe with Tom Brady and actually got the win, he's the fucking hero. That play shouldn't have made a difference. He would have been the hero with the win.
It's
whether he got those 2 yards or Berrios got it. To think that he's thinking that way before that play is ridiculous. Completely.
But then the best thing is they're questioning his character. Do they want to have a reminder of all the shit this kid's been through this entire season? He lost to Sam Darnold. He played like living shit. He was getting booed. He gets hurt. He had to overcome Mike White. The whole fan base fell in love with Mike White for 2 weeks. Then everybody liked Josh Johnson. They compared him, they were writing him off. They said that he was the problem for Mike LaFleur. All this different shit. Interceptions. They doubted every facet of him. And he's overcome adversity. And look where he's at now. And you're going to call him like a character issues? Dude, this kid could have folded already 4 different times this season.
You know what I wonder? And I was legitimately thinking about this last night. It seemed very out of character for the SNY. Like you just said, I mean, they get paid by the Jets. So what would their reason be to go on there and trash this kid like that? Other than it, being genuinely personal, where Bart Scott and all these guys just don't like him. Like, what other reason would they have? And you start thinking like, well, there are all these podcasts out there. There are all these live streams that are doing great numbers where all these fans are flocking to these people who are just speaking from the heart, speaking passionately about the teams that they root for, not giving all this bullshit, analysis, trying to get clicks and shit like that. Maybe the SNY post game, nobody's listening to it anymore. So whoever the higher ups are saying, you guys got to stir shit up. You guys got to, create some controversy out there.
That came off completely it came off personal. Right? It came over the top. If anybody needs to apologize, it needs to be them, because then they asked Willie Colon. He's like, I never even met the kid. But I heard some things. You're going to pull, I heard some things. I heard some things too, dude. And you know what? And I never, ever do this. I cannot tell you the last time that I've ever given a member of the media credit for everything. Brian Costello's article today was amazing, because he absolutely roasted Bart Scott. He roasted all these guys because the analysis was over the top. Like, this kid just played the best game of his life, and you're going to question his character, his mindset, and everything else? Like, what nonsense, dude? That's ridiculous.
It just seemed like it was such an easy target for them to try to go after in the heat of the moment, and they just kind of ran with it. And they figured, it's going to generate some headlines. It's going to
and nobody holds them accountable usually. And now they're backtracking for it.
Oh,
and
that was only 2 minutes, but we praised him for the rest of the show. Bullshit. Come on.
But then, but the thing is, and the weird thing is, the comments they were saying, I don't understand why they're acceptable. Like, why are you calling the quarterback Peter Pan? Why are you calling him a jerk? Like, dude, what are you guys doing? Like, do you have the same approach to everybody else on the team? It just seemed very, very personal to me, dude. Like, there's an agenda. There's a narrative there.
And if anything, like with the hero ball, he's been doing the exact opposite of that the last 4 weeks. He hasn't thrown an interception. He's not playing hero ball. He's not trying to do it himself, running out of the pocket, throwing up Hail Marys. Yeah, he's not doing that. He's playing within the system now. If anything, he was trying to, show a little bit more moxie, a little more confidence, thinking he can make an adjustment on the line. It was a stupid decision, but I like that he feels the confidence to do that. That's growth from a young quarterback. Bad decision, he'll learn from it, fine. But to make the personal attacks, it's fucking ridiculous.
And the other thing too is they were pounding on him for his kind of like his swagger and his attitude. So wait, the same guys that ripped Sam Darnold for being a quiet pushover with no personality and no attitude and no swag to him, you get a guy who's drafted with this because the Jets need this, especially in this market. And this kid's been humble. He hasn't been an asshole by nobody, but the little swagger that he has, the little flair that he has, now you're gonna rip him for that too. It's like hypocritical, dude. It makes no sense. It seemed personal. It did. It really did. It seemed like, and so now it's like, oh, well, so now it's like, well, I know some things, but I know things, but I don't want to talk about it. But I never met the kid. So wait, now it's going to be about you now. So now this Jets post-game show, sponsored by the Jets, you're creating all this bullshit. And it's like, well, I'm not going to, dude, it's ridiculous, man. Because I'm sure if there were problems behind the scenes with Zach Wilson, everybody would hear about it. We would all know about it by now because there are leaks everywhere. And as much as the Jets want to control things that they always try to do, those little stories will leak out, like the nonsense with Mekhi Becton. Like they've been pretty forthcoming with that. And I think, as bad as I thought Salah's press conference was yesterday, today's was 10 times better because he was well-spoken and he hashed it out pretty quickly. He talked about Brandon Echols, but he also talked about the thing with Zach Wilson. He's like, if you think this kid's selfish, he's like, that's the last thing he's thinking about. He's like, the game is going 500 miles an hour. His heart's beating like crazy. He's going toe-to-toe with Tom Brady. He wants to win more than anybody. He just wants to run the play. He's like, not like he's a robot, but dude, he's like, you know what? Here's a play, do this. Like, so that's just the way it is. Like, I genuinely don't think he's sitting there saying, you know what? I'm going to take this on my hands. Like, this is my team. Like, I just don't see it, dude. I don't.
And I'll give Salah some credit for at least trying to own it. Saying that it falls on the communication with the coaching staff and everything. But I think it's common for a lot of rookies to kind of get that sense, like you just said, of being like a robot, being robotic out there, where you're just kind of going through the motions of, all right, this is the play call, this is what I'm supposed to do. I see it at my level when I coach freshman baseball, where it's like the advanced varsity level players, they've seen a lot more stuff, they know what to do in certain situations. But at the freshman level, it's just kind of like, all right, this is bunt defense, this is what I do. Not guy squares up and then he pulls it back, somebody runs. Like you see a bunch of different situations play out that you see over time and you learn to adjust. But as a rookie, as a freshman, you don't know all this stuff yet.
Yeah, so if they would have took a little more time, and listen, they did provide some good insight in certain things, but the attacks and their little sideshow they came away with completely destroyed their show for me. I'll never watch them again. I have no desire. Like, I haven't watched a show in a long time. I like Ray Lucas and Joe Klecko and Eric Coleman, all those guys. I'll never watch them again. I'm sure they're getting their 10 seconds of fame now. Now they're going to go on every podcast and every show and explain themselves. But if I'm the New York Jets, I'm like, dude, you're our TV affiliate here, and this is the shit you're doing to our quarterback. I'm like, and the weird thing is, and this makes me wonder a little bit too. I'm like, you're sitting here ripping him, Zach Wilson. Like, did you rip Antonio Brown the same way? What are your thoughts on Denzel Mims, which has been a complete nightmare? What are your thoughts on a lot of different other players on his team? But this is to focus on when the kids playing the best game.
What about the defense? What about the defense giving up 93 yards in the final 2 minutes? What about that?
So then you have that, and then it's like you have all these different things going on. You're going to focus on Zach Wilson when he played the best game of his career. But let's not forget the fact that after that 4th and 2 play, the team still had a chance to win the game. 93 yards, dude, with no timeouts, and they choked, and they had all kinds of just. So if anything, because 2 of the 3 guys are defensive players, I would have liked thorough analysis of why they didn't get any stops, what they would have did differently, like actually provide excellent, X's and O analysis. And then if there's our players, like has there been any analysis of John Franklin Myers and what he brings to the field every week? Does anybody want to talk about that? I mean, let's talk about the veteran guy making what, $14 million a year to be a pass rusher. Do you want to talk about that player, or is that we can't do that? Do you want to talk about anybody else and criticize them, or is Zach Wilson the only guy on the team that you're going to take personal attacks with? He's one of 22 starters. He's the only guy. That's it.
It's an easy target.
Fucking break. That's bullshit, dude. That shit last night was bullshit. And the reactions today and the fans calling up and, oh, Zach this, Zach that. The thing is, you're either believing them or you're just a hater. And you want to say, I told you so that the Jets should stay with Sam Darnold, or I like Justin Fields, or I like whatever else. Give me a break, dude. Like, I don't understand. Like, if you're a Jet fan right now and you're not supporting Zach Wilson, you're out of your fucking mind. Seriously. And I hate telling fans what to do. This kid has shown so much over the progress of a year, and they're dealing with a litany of bullshit, dude.
And Tyson, you know me, and the chat knows me too, where I was several months ago, even a few weeks ago, where we all were watching him coming back from the injury. For this kid to have not earned your respect with what he's done over the last 4 weeks, battling through all that he's gone through, all the injuries that the team has had, his own injury. I mean, this is progress. It's not where we want him to be yet, but it's fucking progress. I mean, what more do we want for
dude, he's going further. Dude, the plays he made yesterday, we were saying what? Don't force passes. He wasn't doing that. He had the yips. He had 2 beautiful screen passes. He was throwing dimes to Barrios, Jeff Smith. He was spreading the ball around. He wasn't even forcing throws, dude. A couple times he ran around. He threw the ball. He threw the ball away. So I mean, this is crazy, dude. Like, listen, and you guys know I'm as critical as the next guy. I normally hate the media. I hate a lot of different things. But today, I think I give so much credit to Brian Costello for finally sticking up and saying, you know what, this is bullshit. And I think the guys from SNY deserve, they owe Zach Wilson an apology, because personal attacks from your Jets affiliated show is not acceptable. It's not. Like, you want to say, you know what, I don't think he played bad, fine. Calling him a jerk, Peter Pan, chicken legs, and all this other shit is ridiculous. It's embarrassing, dude. Like, this, you want to do shock jock shit? Go on WFN and embarrass yourself. Don't do it in a goddamn Jets show.
Yep. And it's just funny now watching them just try and backtrack on Twitter, and it's hysterical.
And I like him, dude. I like tell you, Lee J. Douzable came on our show 2 or 3 times, dude. I like him. Like, dude,
no,
he was cool with us.
All three of them as players, we never had an issue with any of them. I mean, they all seemed like good dudes, but as far as the post game goes, I don't know what that shit was.
So now it's like you have this game where there's so many great positives, and now this little narrative, like now Willie Cologne's like, I know different things. Everybody's like, oh, is there problems with Zach Wilson now? I'm not even buying it, dude. I will not buy it, because this team is playing with him. They're playing hard. They competed at a very high level yesterday, and I'm not, that's just they made an enormous mistake. But the one benefit of all this is that, dude, they're going to learn from this. Like Saleh, you could tell Saleh is legitimately disturbed by this, as he should be. But I'm hoping the same energy about this 4th and 2 is passed on to that 93-yard drive. Because I just don't think people focus on that enough, dude. Like, how many times under Rex Ryan did we see that? Todd Bowles, we saw it. This defense, dude, the names will change. The results are the same. They don't get off the field. And if you want to start holding guys accountable, the Jets, for whatever reason, only rushed 4 yesterday in the pivotal moment of the game, and they got 0 pressure. They were getting nothing.
I hope everything from this game leaves just a nasty feeling inside of them. All of them, the head coach, quarterback, like everybody made a mistake in that final 2 minutes. The communication with all of it, playing prevent, Elijah Wright, like everybody made mistakes, and hopefully it eats away at them this entire offseason, and it results in legitimate progress.
Yeah. So, all I can know, when you had a time to just sit back and look at it, I'm like, dude, it's hard to not be proud of this team, man. Especially when you look at no Elijah Moore, no Corey Davis, like all these different guys were out. McGovern's out. Like they did well, all things considered. It's disappointing, but then you're like, I'm looking at the backlash from it. I'm like, dude, like today I was like, dude, I'm proud of this team. Like, I'm not, the 4th and 2 is disappointing, but dude, like the whole story, this whole thing we've been talking about for weeks is end the season strong. Zach Wilson has got to show progress. We got to see development. We got to see things working out. The play calling is better than I've ever seen with this team in 4 or 5 years. The quarterback is making throws we've not seen in a long time with the pinpoint precision, the arm strength, everything else. You're seeing a lot of good things. But now it's like, all right, you have 1 more week, thank God, and then take the offseason and enhance it and get better. But now it's like we were at a point this year, prime time, where Zach Wilson was playing so poorly. I was like, dude, this is a redshirt year. Like next year is going to be like the rookie year and forward. But now he's giving you a little more hope where you're like, you know what? Maybe next year we could be a lot better than we think we should be.
Dude, we were at a point in the season where we thought we had almost nothing. I mean, this entire draft class, like this most recent one, I mean, Carter was injured at one point. Elijah Moore was injured at one point. I think Vera Tucker missed a game or two. The secondary guys were in and out. Like over the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've seen almost all of them, minus Elijah Moore, who's been injured. We've seen almost all of them emerge, and even more before the injury was playing lights out. So we're going to have a legitimate 4 or 5 starters, possibly more, from this draft class, on top of all the picks we have next year, on top of all the cap space, all the injured guys coming back. Like, if you have the quarterback trending in the right direction, you could talk about making legitimate progress next year. You could talk about taking that step finally.
Yeah. So the thing is, too, it's like I'm telling you, we could talk about offense all you want, but people that need to learn is Ulbrich and Robert Saleh on defense. You can't do that because you look at, one thing is Tom Brady, but you know what? Let's be honest. Josh Allen is just as good, man. Not as just good, but that offense is good. If you want to keep up with everybody else, man, you have to go to the field on defense, especially when you're getting cold weather games. You got to make stops. You got to do all these different things. So tough loss, but the reactions, like I was proud of the Jets. They completely surprised me. They played well on so many different levels. You hope they come out angry next week because they're a 17-point underdog at this point. And I'm hoping that these criticisms about the quarterback is going to rally the locker room even more. Like you saw Barrios talking to him today, like you forgot this king and all this other stuff. But it's just, I don't know. Today I was so pissed about the Echols thing and the SNY stuff, dude. I'm like, that's nuts, dude.
I was still pissed just at like the lack of communication, even afterwards, going into the press conferences where Saleh said one thing first, and then 20 minutes later, Zach takes the podium and says something completely different. Like it almost as if it was told to him before the play that you still have the option to run it. Like that's what he made it sound like. when
Yep.
clearly none of that was ever said. If Saleh went to the podium saying, no, we expected him 1000% to give this ball to Berrios. So the fact that even after the game, there was still confusion. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, you know what? And that I thought about that. And you know how the Jets are, dude. Once the game was over, they probably all met together like, listen, we've got to figure out a way to all communicate this and explain this.
But they didn't. They said different things.
Because I think but that's the problem. Like I think they tried to kind of like nip it in the ass and they blew it. And Zach's probably like, dude, like he's probably just like, I don't even know what to go with this. Like, I don't know. He doesn't want to bury his teammates. He doesn't want to bury his coach. He's like, he doesn't know how to like, and that's the one thing, dude. Like everybody, I have to say it. Everybody always wants Zach to take accountability. How many times this year did the coach not do that? The coach would defer and blame it on, it was this, it was that. Like, dude, like, that's why this defense, like, at some point, like, the coach many times didn't own things. That's why I think it's so hypocritical. Everybody's like, oh, Zach didn't take accountability. The kid week in and week out, my bad, got to do this, got to fix this. Like, what do you want him to say sometimes? Like, he tried his best. I'm sure he's completely overwhelmed. And he's a smart kid, and he doesn't want to bury nobody, dude. He doesn't want to bury his receivers. He's like, you sit there and be like, all right, I don't want to say about my offensive line. I don't want to question my coach. I don't want to question this. I don't want to question the play call. I'm just going to try to figure out, get through this.
And I think Saleh tried to own it. I think he could have did a better job. Like in terms, like initially it seemed like he just completely threw Wilson under the bus. Then it sort of seemed like he threw LaFleur under the bus, saying that communication should have came from LaFleur.
Yep.
But like, you're still the head coach. You're the overseer of everything. You're supposed to be the CEO. You're supposed to know every little detail of what this offense entails. And you should know that if this play was part of your 4th and 1 series where he can tuck it and run, then you should tell him in that situation, it's 4th and 2, this ball has to go to Berrios. Somebody's got to say it. And you're the head coach. It falls on you.
So today Saleh today made up for a lot of the mistakes he made yesterday. His press conference today was 10 times better. He definitely stepped his game up and addressed more and gave more of an explanation. And I tend to agree with him. And I'm by no means a Zach Wilson apologist. I call it like I see it, and this is kind of what I believe. And I think the backlash today and some of the shit being said today is utterly ridiculous. And if Willie Colon wants to start his little nonsense there, that there's things going on behind the scenes, I'm not buying it until we see it. Because right now, you're seeing the offense is playing well. The offensive line's playing hard for them, dude. They're all competing in games they don't have to. So,
no, it just seemed like a legitimate mistake. I mean, a dumb mistake, one that, again, you look at the still shot of, the 3 Bucs lined up in front of the center. I'm like, how could you think he could sneak it? But whatever went into, his mindset, his thought process to tuck and run it there, at the very least, you like that, he's comfortable making those kind of decisions at the line, trying to check out at things. And you would think in year 2, year 3, year 4, once he gets more familiar with the NFL game and the system, he'll be able to make some more plays like that. But yesterday, I don't know what went into it, but I still blame it more on the coaching staff.
Yeah, I'm more on the coaching staff too. I'm not taking the whole selfish thing and the bashing him. I'm not buying it at all. So, Jomo, I'd like to sincerely apologize to Braxton Berrios. I'm sorry I said you can kick rocks. 4 years, $40 million? No, you don't give him that much, man.
Shit.
No, come on, Jomo. We're not going to do that. We'll give him like $6 million, maybe $6.5 million a year and do that. But so
what if that's his asking price?
$10 million a year?
Yeah, 4 years, $10 million a year. Take it or I'm hitting the market. What's your response?
Ooh, that's a lot, man. It's not really his market, but that's tough. That's a tough one.
And you're not going to franchise tag him, obviously. So,
nope. All right. So we'll go through the chat. We just had a lot to talk about here, so we didn't go through a lot of your comments just because some of the stuff's just it's just insane. So let's see. And tomorrow night we'll be back so we can bring you guys on. You can share all your hot takes and everything else. The one bright side of all this is that while the Jets are going through this little drama of 4th and 2, losing a close game to the Buccaneers, the Giants are a complete clown show right now.
The real clown show is in Jacksonville, where the fans are actually going to be dressed up as clowns for the home game next week. Yeah.
Well, that's I think it's a smart idea. That's a good way to get fans in the seats at least, because nobody's going to the game, so they're at least going to get that.
I'm just upset we never thought of that.
I was going to do that for the Halloween game at one point, but the Giants. I mean, and the one thing is with Joe Judge, to me that press conference was eerily similar to the way John Idzik approached his. Like, I thought Joe Judge completely embarrassed himself. That, to me, the way he presented himself was like, dude, you should be fired. You should be out of here.
I forget who said, there was one analyst, it might have been on SNY, that was saying it almost sounded like he was trying to talk to Mara and convince him that he's still right for the job. It was like, like a 10-minute rant that he went on. I'm like,
Yeah, 11 minutes, dude. It was just it was
Crazy.
just awful.
Crazy.
So if you guys got any stuff you want to ask us, fire away, and we'll talk about it. And then tomorrow night, you guys come on and talk about everything else. Appreciate for you guys all watching our videos, dude. Because I was cranking them out last night. I was just downright pissed. I did one this morning at like 6:30 in the morning. I was pissed.
Yeah.
Like I just.
And can I say one thing on the Antonio Brown thing real quick? Because I see a lot of stuff like with the mental health stuff, and obviously like we're all advocates for mental health, and obviously he's dealing with stuff, but at the same time I think you have to become self-aware at some point when your behaviors are negatively impacting other people that you need to get help. And he's clearly, I mean, wife, baby mama, and plenty of organizations have tried to give him a chance, and he's basically giving the middle finger to all of them. So maybe there's more to the story. Maybe his ankle really was hurt. I don't know. But clearly there's a lot more going on there. Clearly he needs help. But at a certain point, you have to become an adult and say, I need to get help, and I need to actually go do it and be responsible and go get that help. And right now it just seems like, he's all over the place.
Yeah, I think the same thing too, because everybody wants to mention CTE and all this. Listen, he's been enabled by so many different people, and so much embarrassing acts he's done and things he's done, and people look by it, and they keep giving him a chance because he's a great receiver. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna look past this. I'm gonna look past this and keep getting more chances. And then it's like, now it's good. You go.
No, and then for his first response to be, I'm gonna release my rap album and then hop on a podcast tomorrow. It almost seemed like it was kind of orchestrated,
calculated.
Like,
I thought the same thing.
Right?
It was just like, you know what? I'm fed up with this shit. I made my money, and like he gave up. Yeah. It was just weird, but and then people talking about the mental health aspect of it. You got, dude, it's just.
Yeah. I'll always be sensitive if somebody's going through mental health issues or possibly CTE if people think that's what's going on. But more likely than not, it just seems like he's a pretty shitty person that's been given plenty of opportunities, and he's just giving the middle finger to everybody that's given him a chance.
Yeah, today he's dropping videos about he dropped the rap single, then he's sending a message out to Ben Roethlisberger. Like he seemed like he was capitalizing on what he did. It was just very, very strange, man. Yeah. So. Let's see. We got here. How is everyone doing? What's up, man? We're doing good. We're doing very good, man. One more game. Thank goodness. The game has been changed to 4:25 this week, so it's a later game in Buffalo, so we can enjoy 1:00 football. So that's definitely a good thing. I'm interested to see how the Jets come out in that one. Yep. The Braxton Berrios thing is going to be real interesting to see what, according to I think it was U Stadium, they said that there's negotiations that have started. Let's see what happens with that. Curious to see what that paycheck's going to be like. Let's see what you got here. Do you think we would be as good with Trevor Lawrence? I mean, I don't really care. I think I just like what Zach Wilson's doing right now. What has Trevor Lawrence shown you this year? He's falling apart right now. He's in a lousy situation.
He's in a worse situation than pretty much any other rookie quarterback right now. I mean, the Niners have handled Lance pretty well. They sat him, they let him learn. Same thing with Fields. He got to sit for a little bit. I mean, Wilson's going to be in the same system next year. Lawrence is going to be learning a completely new system. Mac Jones is with Belichick. He's in the worst situation right now.
Next comment is Berrios is not a load receiver. You can find guys like him for a lot less. Well, I think he's developed chemistry with Wilson. He's a very good returner, and he's kind of molding into that slot guy that you want, especially with Crowder and Cole are going to be gone. Elijah Moore, they moved him a lot outside, so he could be a valuable piece of the puzzle in this offense, man.
He's versatile. He contributes on special teams, and it seems like Florida's starting to learn that he can use him in a lot of different ways. So, I think he's worth bringing back at the right price.
Seems like he's emerging as a leader too, like a leader in the locker room kind of guy. So that's that's definitely interesting. Here's John says 3 years, $24 million with a Senate for $30 million. $8 million a year. I'll tell you, I talked to Joel Corey about it. I messaged him a couple times. He's saying like the starting, he's like the 6.5 range for Berrios. But will this strong finish change that? I don't know. How many catches does he have on the season right now?
Not too many.
What are his career? What are his numbers this year and last year? In terms of like,
if I had to guess off the top of my head, I'd say like 25 this year, but I'll check right now.
I'm curious to see what his numbers are.
He's got 46 catches. Holy shit.
How many yards?
431. So he's under 10 yards a catch, but.
And he's got how many touchdowns? Like what, 6?
2.
2?
Yeah.
That's all he got is 2?
Well,
that can't be right.
Receiving. I don't know how many he's got rushing. And he had 37 catches last year.
Yeah, so 46 and 37. Never had 1,000 yards receiving. They can't. I mean, give him the $10 million, dude. A year would be a lot, dude. That's. I mean, you figure you give John Franklin Myers that mega deal, and he was, Interesting.
How old is he? Also, he's 26. So I mean,
Still got a good 3-4 years on him at least.
I'm saying, yeah. I don't know. It all depends, I guess, whether or not they feel like he's just starting to tap into what his potential could be, or I don't know.
Well, you look at the offense. He's a yards after the catch guy, explosive guy. That's kind of what you need, So we'll see. Next question. You guys didn't talk about Bryce Hall. How did you think he played yesterday? I think he learned a lot yesterday because he was being challenged by Mike Evans. He's been challenged by Gronkowski. He plays physical, and I think he's still a work in progress. But the young secondary competes, dude. Like Michael Carter will get dusted on one play, next play he bounces back. Brandon Echols, his interception was like perfect technique. Then he has a play where you're like, dude, what are you doing? But that's a young secondary. But I think they're all getting after it. Bryce Hall's been pretty solid though.
He was the one that got beat on that double move, right, by Brown earlier in the game, right? Yeah, he had a few plays like that where he got burned. But again, like look at the receivers he's going up against. That's a great learning experience for him. Kind of what you can look at it as.
This is a good point by Lauren. The big bright side with the clown set on SNY has generated a ton of support for Zach.
That's true.
I mean, when you have the New York Post supporting you, you know shit's going bad. Like when Brian Costello writes positive articles and kind of reiterates what Jet fans are saying, you know, like there's pigs flying somewhere.
Yep.
He never does that shit. So Jets have a better future than Giants. Happy for oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. The Giants are a complete disaster right now. I don't know. I mean, they're just that press conference yesterday. Can you imagine that press conference happens as a Jets head coach? We'd be picketing the friggin' the
Well, it did happen. Gase's intro.
Yeah. Oh, that. But I'm saying in a lost season like that, I mean, you had the Izzy stuff, but that press conference was horrendous. Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. We appreciate it, man. We appreciate all you guys joining us. There are so many different streams out there right now. So you guys joining us, we definitely appreciate it. Of these three, who's most likely to come back? Cole, Crowder, Smith, Mims. Cole's gone. Crowder's gone. Jeff Smith returns. Mims is gone.
Cole could be the cheapest. Actually, Mims is going to be on his rookie contract. It all depends on whether or not he wants to trade, whether or not his agent tries to push for a trade, whether or not this offense on LaFleur, they want him back or not. I mean, I can't see why they wouldn't for a second-round pick. I mean, he's making probably like $1 million next year in his third year. So I'd at least give him a shot in training camp, see what he could do, and then if not, you could either cut him or trade him for a conditional seventh or something.
Do we want to focus on the fact he said of these three and he gave us 4 names, or no?
Well, I think he meant to go with the first 3, and then he thought about Mims because he put it in capitals.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I like Keelan Cole. I like the sign. We watched him in practice, man. I thought he was like a really good player, and it's just been a complete disappointment, man. So Balls, we appreciate it, man. Definitely appreciate all the support. We are not royalty. You guys are out of your minds. So the Mims trade value, I think he probably had more value at the trade deadline this year than he has now.
Oh yeah,
about that take.
No, I think that's spot on. I mean, prior to the trade deadline, you can still kind of point to the bad fish that he had in training camp. He's still trying to work up to speed, learn the new offense. Yep. Yeah, well, there was all sorts of stuff going on. But now, I mean, you've had your top 3 wide receivers out the last number of weeks, and he's still not getting an opportunity. And the few opportunities that he has had, we've had penalties, we've had running out of bounds, we've had drop balls. So, what's his value right now?
Afram says, I don't see JD giving Berrios no more than $5 million tops. Well, he's already paid that to Keelan Cole and Crowder. So here's why
I think you're wrong, Afram, because John Franklin Myers was a waiver claim. If I remember right, they claimed him and then he got a huge deal. So Berrios was kind of, in the same boat, guy that they claimed off of waivers, or he was on the practice squad with the Patriots. So this is still one of Joe Douglas's guys. And I think he holds those guys in a little bit higher regard. And I think somebody even mentioned in the chat, you want to show your own, that when you're playing well, you're going to get rewarded. So I think he's going to want to bring it back. And I think he'll go more than 5 million. Now, whether or not he's going to go 8, 9 or beyond that, I don't know, but I think he'd go above 5.
And the one thing is, this is exactly what Saleh wants. He wants players to work their asses off, have career years. This is a career year for him, even though its numbers aren't great. Wants to get him paid. So guess what, Coach? Congratulations, you're getting him paid. Now it's a matter if you're going to. I tell you, the benchmark is going to be what you've already paid Keelan Cole and Crowder. You're not going to pay him less than that. So you're going to be over 6. So, let's see what we got here. Let's see, we got 3 years, 21 million be a sweet spot. Okay.
Could see something like that. Give him like 5 years or 5 million in the first year, 7 million in the second year. And if he plays well, he can earn like the third year for like 9 million, but make it non-guaranteed, something like that.
A third rounder for Mims. I don't see it, man.
What?
I don't see it.
How? From who?
There's no. I mean, when you go, you can go to the Panthers. You beg the Panthers or Seahawks or somebody. Let him go back and play with Matt Rule, who's on the verge of getting fired himself.
I can't see who would give up a third rounder, even like a fourth or a fifth right now.
Yeah, you're really. I mean, it's interesting. Dan Feeney was the highest grade run blocker this week. That is freaking impressive. Oof. Jets definitely needed depth on O-line. Also, George Fant, what a great year by him. I mean, the Jets, to be honest with you, the offensive line really came on towards the end of the year, and it's all the backup guys. You had McDermott stepped up in a big spot, Adoga, Feeney, LDT. They made a move for him. He's played pretty well. I mean,
so do we have to start talking about a contract extension for Feeney now? Bringing him back?
Depth guy?
Why not?
He played center, dude. I mean, well, it depends. It depends what
McGovern
happens with
coming
McGovern.
Back. Yeah, what happens with his injury too? Same thing with Fant. Yep. He's going for a second opinion today.
They said it wasn't an ACL, which is good. I mean, that's definitely something to keep an eye on there. Becton obviously is out for the rest of the year, which our drunk asses predicted in week 1. But
I still remember the live chat when we were walking out of the stage, like, oh, you guys are crazy. We'll be back in 4 to 6 weeks. Nope.
He's done. See, when you let's see. Oops, that was a good one. Thank you, man. We definitely appreciate we appreciate all the support, man, for sure. I haven't seen the Jets play like that in offense in 3 years, maybe 4. Completely agree. This play calling, I'm telling you, you watch it, you're like, I was almost like, wow, we're finally catching up to the rest of the NFL, because for 2 or 3 years, we were like the JV league. We were like the misfits that didn't know what the fuck we were doing. And now we're playing like big boy football. Like we've returned to the NFL landscape finally.
Yeah, just all the motion, the end arounds, the double end arounds. It's nice to see like some creative game plans going in.
Thoughts on Mosley going forward? I think, well, the first thing is, I don't think he's going to ask for a trade. I don't think he's going to do that, because I think he's embraced like the leader role. I just think he's played very well. He's probably banged up at this point. He's giving you his heart and soul. He's a leader. Respect the guy. You just got to put good guys next to him, man. You need like another, obviously the defensive line's got to play better, but he needs a better linebacker next to him. If they're going to do like a 5-2, they're going to do a 4-3. He just needs better supporting cast.
Yeah, at this point for a team that we've been talking about all year that's kind of lacked that leadership. I know they have a lot of young guys that are coming into their own, but we haven't had a lot of leadership on this team. And the one guy that you see before every single game that's rallying everybody, that's giving those fiery speeches, that's trying to motivate everybody, trying to show them why they're on this field, what they're working for, is CJ Mosley. So I think they need more guys like him in the locker room, not less. I don't think he's probably earned whatever he's making this year, like 15 million plus. I don't think he's played to that level. For a middle linebacker, I think there's probably other needs that, we'd like to address, but you need leaders, and he's a phenomenal player still. And I don't think you can afford to get rid of him. And not to mention, you wouldn't even save any money anyway. So
no, it's a big cap hit. Expectations for Becton next year. I think those are 2 big questions coming into next year: is what to expect out of Becton coming off this injury and the conditioning and everything else, and what to expect out of Carl Lawson, because he's coming off another major injury. And both at this point are expected to play prominent roles. Like Carl Lawson is the pass rush that you want to pair up with somebody else. Yep. And Becton right now, is he your left tackle? Is he your right tackle? What is he going to do? What kind of shape is he going to be in? Right now, like the weird thing is too, like we all like Becton. Like the strange thing is, if you kind of criticize him, it's based on, all right, the injury is freak, dude. It's not like he's injury prone, but he was, if we're being fair and honest, is last year at times he struggled in speed guys. But he's a rookie, so he's learning on the fly, and obviously poorly coached with Gase and those clowns. He comes in this year. There was the coaching staff themselves mentioned the conditioning issues, not us. Mm-hmm. That wasn't like rumor. That was a coaching staff saying we expect kind of more. He's got to dial it in more. And then the day in and day out, he was struggling against Carl Lawson, which an elite pass rusher. But when they had the joint practices against Green Bay and against the Eagles, they were also doing well against him. So there's definitely an adjustment period, though. And this is why it's unfortunate he missed so much time this year, because you want to see him in this scheme. Is he a good fit for Mike LaFleur's scheme?
Yeah, I wonder if it was, just an adjustment to, new offense, new blocking scheme or what. But yeah, I mean, all the reports have been out there as far as his weight, the conditioning, even some of the more recent stuff, whether or not it's true with, the stuff from Tony Pauline about the attitude and him checking out at times. I'm a little bit concerned about it. For a guy that's, 370 pounds, you got to be on the field if you're expected to be a left tackle covering your quarterback's blind spot. So, maybe the future for him is right tackle, especially with the way that Fans played this year. I wouldn't mind that, but you definitely need him up there. I mean, you invested a first round pick, and if he could be an anchor if he could be an anchor on either side of that line with Vera Tucker on the inside, the way Fant's been playing, like you've got a legitimate line possibly. So it'd be nice if he could pan out. He's obviously got all the raw ability. Just got to stay on the field.
Yeah, next comment is Fant has earned left tackle this year. He was awesome. Moved back to the right tackle. They actually asked Salah about it. He didn't discount it. So, excuse me. Maybe it's something that's going to happen. I don't know. Who do you guys want to win the division? Well, that's a loaded question because we all hate the Patriots, but if the Jets win on Sunday, they knock the Bills out of winning the division. So,
tough question. Tough question.
I've already started my shit talking today, dude. A very good friend of mine's a Bills fan. I've already started talking my shit. And I got to go on a Bills podcast on Wednesday and talk more shit. So,
see, but it's like if we're knocking them out, but we're also putting the Patriots in. I mean, that's.
So you're rooting for a loss on Sunday?
Would it make you feel good to put the Patriots in the playoffs?
They're both in the playoffs anyway. It's a matter of
winning the division and getting a home game.
See, this is the problem that I have, prime time. I'm a bitter person. I'm an angry Jets fan. And I remember sitting there in 2015 and watching the Bills fans laugh in my face as we choke away a chance to go to playoffs. I'm still bitter and shit about that. So for us to go there back in their stadium and kind of make them lose the AFC East.
See, but I'm not even mad at them because we would be those same assholes if they came into our building and we'd be the same way. They were
I
us.
like Bills fans too.
Yeah,
it pisses me off.
The Bill fans for most of our time being alive, they've been us. Minus the 4 Super Bowl run.
They're already in the playoffs. They're already in the playoffs. It's a matter of winning the division.
Yeah.
That's a tough question because I'm telling you, like a good friend of mine's a Bills fan, dude, and we talk shit all day long. He's like, bro, you're a 17-point underdog. How come you're talking shit? Like, you never know, man. Any given Sunday.
I could see them pulling one out, too. The Bills have been up and down this year.
Yep. So, this is one that we keep getting asked a lot about. Do you trade Quinnen? So, the argument is that Quinnen's shown a lot. You want to keep one of your own, but he wasn't drafted by Joe Douglas. So, Is he an elite top-level defensive tackle that warrants a mega contract, a $16, $17 million year contract?
Well, I think a lot's going to go into that. First, what is he asking for? Does he want to get paid this offseason first, which he might? Jamal Adams did after his third year. So is he looking for a contract? What is he going to get? And then if, let's just say his number's too high and you decide to, dabble his name out there in trade talks, what's the offer for him? If you could get what I don't think you're going to get this, but let's just say you can get a Jamal Adams package, 2 first-round picks and a third. You turning that down for Quinnen?
Adios.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
And the thing is, too,
I would like to keep him. I think that he might, or Joe Douglas might keep his name out there potentially in trade talks. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because I get the whole notion of keep your own, all that stuff. I get it, but then it's like, all right, at what price is it where like the money's too much and you're not getting the right value for it? Like to me, it's like. I think he's a victim of his draft position. Kind of like Leonard Williams, dude. Like you were picked at a certain spot where if he was picked maybe 10 spots later, like, wow, this is a pretty good value for this guy. He's a good player. And I know there's times where Brian Baldinger shows his highlights, but this is dominant. But I'm like, why has our run defense been so terrible all year long? Like, is he a legitimate game-breaking player week in and week out?
It just seems like there's too many times where he just completely disappears and you don't even see him at all. Like Aaron Donald, you watch a Rams game and you notice Aaron Donald almost every series. He's disruptive. He's in the backfield. He's taking on double teams. Like sometimes you see that from Quinnen. Other times you kind of lose him. So, is he worth that $20 million a year? I don't know.
And then it's like, you wonder like, all right, how would he be with Carl Lawson on the outside and John Franklin Myers playing next to him? That's a game changing too. You had a pass rusher on the outside, John Franklin Myers next to him. Like that could change things as well. So I don't know. It's a good question. Like I'm kind of if somebody floats out a first round pick for me, dude, first and a third, first and second. I don't know.
And you also look at those Niners defenses; they were always stacked up front. So maybe they want as many bodies as they can up there, especially with the way they rotate all these guys.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this handled in the offseason, what they do. I
just saw
Darren, what's funny about that question?
There's video
drop. There's a video of it. That drop was actually right in front of us because we were sitting behind the Jet bench. So I almost went on the field and wanted to just tackle him myself. I'll never forget it because that was a bit of touchdown. That happened literally right prime time. It literally happened right in front of us. It was me and Jay were sitting right there.
Yeah, you and Jay were there. I was in the corner of the end zone with my dad, but yeah.
Literally right in front of us. I couldn't
forget
believe it. There's a picture of it. I think there's a picture of me, my hands on my. I think I have it on my phone. Picture of me, my hands on my head. Like then I kicked the chair so hard in front of me, I cracked my toe.
You've never been the same since.
Yeah, I haven't. Yes, it is a 425 game this week. That's true. Yeah, the Quinnen takes are interesting, man. Everybody wants, it's just he has 6 sacks. He's not Leonard Williams. I mean, Leonard Williams had how many sacks last year, and he's kind of tailed off. I don't know. He's a good player, man. Is he good on the way of being great with changes around him? It's a tough call, man. That's definitely a tough call. I don't really have a hot take on him, unfortunately. Let's see. The John Franklin Myers takes are always interesting. The Jets they're not going to tag Marcus May. He's injured. You're not going to tag him off it and when he's coming off a serious injury.
And the price tag would go up too.
Yep. Yeah, there's no way they're going to do that. He's going to be a free agent, man.
You know, it's pretty crazy when you think about it. There's 4 guys on this defense right now. I mean, minus Sheldon Rankins. Even if you want to throw him in there, you got him, Quinnen Williams, Carl Lawson, C.J. Mosley. Like those guys are the only guys that are really making like any kind of serious money right now. They could all be gone after another year potentially. You can get out from
Jared Davis could be gone this year too.
He's a free agent. They only signed for 1 year.
Yep.
So all the guys that are making like any kind of serious money. I mean, this could be a completely new defense in 2023.
Yeah. A lot more speed and athleticism. That's what you want. And like another physical nature too.
Yep.
You guys still going to be in Buffalo this week? We never said we were going. Ever. No, absolutely not.
I said we were going if we were playing for something.
Yeah, we're not playing for nothing. I'm not going. Never again. But I'll tell you where I am going to go. Green Bay next year. Jets are at the Packers next year.
There's a lot of games we want to go to next year. Green Bay, Seattle, Minnesota.
Yeah. If there's a Let's Talk Jets radio road trip, I hate Pittsburgh, but Let's Talk Jets radio road trip, dude, it's got to be Green Bay. It's got to be. That town is so much fun. Yeah. It's such a good time, dude.
Let's do it.
Seattle'll be fun too. Go there and go see Jose.
Yeah, let's do it. Go party with Jose.
It's a long ass flight. I'll think I hammered off my ass for that flight. My God. Let's see. Yeah, Minnesota. That stadium looks amazing too. I'm just hoping some of these games aren't like in December. Well, Minnesota's but the Packers game. I was in there in December, man, and it was dude. It was so cold there. When you spilled the beer, which you're not supposed to do, but when you spill it, it actually froze to your jacket. Like it was just, it was so cold, man. What will it take the Jets to switch the grass? They are in like 2 years.
Are they?
MetLife Stadium's going the grass in 2 years. Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, I think it's 2 years, but they're definitely doing it though.
What's the reason? Just the bad turf.
I think a lot of teams are because the turf that they're saying is there's studies being done that the turf they're using. I guess there's some kind of concerns about it, so teams are going back to grass. So I think it's in 2 years. I'm sure it's soon though.
Just seems like there was always problems with grass when we played on grass too. Guys were always ripping it up.
There's always a shit stadium, man. Here's one for you, prime time. Will the Jets be at or over 500 next year? Is it necessary for them to reach this record next year? Yes.
I think so. I think they have to be playing meaningful games in December. The problem is what's the answer if they're not? If they're a 6 or a 5 win team next year, are people getting fired? Like,
no.
Are we ready?
But the expectation is probably like 7-8 wins next year. I think we're probably in that range now, where it's like you're going to be close to getting to the 5. Like the expectations are significantly more than they were this year. This year we gave them a complete we expected absolutely nothing, especially the way Zach Wilson's playing now, where he's giving you a glimmer of hope. And Michael Carter and Elijah Moore, like the offense has playmakers now. Corey Davis, which is whatever, but
and it's also going to be Joe Douglas's 3rd full offseason too.
Yep.
I mean, at some point,
expectations are definitely going to be higher. Yep. Definitely higher than this year. Olbrich's not getting fired, man. He's coming back. I'm telling you, I guarantee he's coming back because the Jets are going to say, we keep saying it. This was their evaluation year. Take the guys on the roster, evaluate them, the fit in this defense, and they're going to say, you know what? We had to get our guys in now. He'll come back. So
I think so.
Let's see. Yeah, they're not going to fire him. Yes, I spilled beer. It was cold. It was cold in Green Bay, man. It was really, really freaking cold. The 2 coldest games of my life. Well, it's probably 3. It was the one in Green Bay. I went to a December game in Buffalo, like when Keyshawn was there. That game was frigid. And the Jets-Bengals game, the last game in Giant Stadium, was just utterly ridiculous. Did you go to that game, Jets-Bengals?
Which one? The last
The
one?
last game of Jets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah. Well, that's the one that Steve said he heard. It was so cold. I swear to God, I hear that from everybody. I legitimately that night never felt cold. Like I wore a million layers, but I was standing up the entire game, just bouncing around, screaming my ass off. I never felt cold that game. I feel like everybody that I talked to, it was the coldest night I've ever. I never felt it. I had a million layers on. I was just screaming my ass off.
We were
the
deep into the
entire
whiskey
time.
that night, dude. We were drinking beer like it's not gonna work. We went to the hard shit. Like this isn't.
Yeah.
Aren't the Jets playing in Vegas next year? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think that's a home game, isn't it?
I would have noticed that when I saw the road game.
Yeah, I already booked my trip already. Let's see what we got here. I have it right here. You got shit. Hold on. Jets 2000. The home, the away,
Cleveland again.
Steelers, Browns, Broncos, Packers, Vikings, Seahawks, Dolphins, Patriots, Bills. Those are your away games.
A lot of cold games away potentially.
Yeah, Broncos. Broncos, Packers.
Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Broncos. Damn, imagine those games in November, December.
I hate Pittsburgh. That town killed me.
I still want to go there once.
Do it.
Cross it off my list.
They're going to the playoffs and playing at Vegas. I'm down for that. That would be so awesome, man.
Would we make it to the game? That's the bigger question.
They're probably not. The O-line is playing well. Do the Jets still draft linemen and when? Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
There's a caveat to that. They could address it in free agency too. There's two ways you can address offensive line, but I think they're definitely going to do it. The questions you have are, what are you doing with McGovern at center? Then what's your decision with Fant? Right? LDT is he under contract for next year? I think he is, right?
Is he? I don't even know what his contract situation is.
I gotta look that one up. I'm not sure. But I think that looks like he's kind of fit in nice at right guard. What do you do with Morgan Moses? I mean, you got some questions you got to answer here, but I think they're definitely going to try to upgrade the offensive line, man. It's got to be a priority. Offensive line, tight end.
I think McGovern's probably going to come down to just who's available in free agency or possibly even the draft. Like if they take that kid Lindenbaum and he's going to be your future center, McGovern's probably out, or if they can find equal or greater value in free agency. Otherwise, I think he's probably coming back.
I'm telling you right now, dude, Green Bay is such a good statement. Dude, the tailgate was so much fun. That people are so friendly. There's 2 or 3 bars right by the stadium that were super. That was just a lot of fun, man. Everybody's respectful. They're nice. It's just a different, it's a good time. I'll just leave it at that. It's a really good time.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. So I'm on the Jets cap page, and it shows LDT as a contracted player for 2022, but it says his cap number is 0. So is it just like an option that they have to pick up, or I'm not sure if anybody knows?
I don't know. I'm going to figure that one out.
Let's
see. Yeah, anybody has, usually Afram's good with that contract stuff. Let's see what you guys got here. Name 4 positions the Jets target with the first 4 picks. Well, it's hard to do that when you don't know what happens in free agency first. What you do in free agency could change the way you go to the draft. If you spend big money on a certain position, say they go big at tight end in free agency, you may not make that a priority in the draft. It's a lot of moving parts there.
Right now, I feel like it'd probably be something like wide receiver, O-line, edge, and then tight end.
Nick, you got to go to Lambeau. Oh, and by the way, Mr. Prime Time, Rachel has a bone to pick with you because she sent you a message. You never. Yep.
Me?
Very upset with you, man. Very, very upset with you.
Where'd she
send you a message? They sent you a message and you never respond to them. So that's
where?
I'm just a mediator. I'm not getting involved.
Well, I've got a million different accounts. I mean, I got Twitter, I got Instagram, I got a million.
Bro, that's not my problem. All I know is, dude.
Oh man, I have too many accounts to check DMs on.
I think we need to add on defense through free agency and draft. And yeah, I mean, you got to upgrade so many different positions, man. Thankfully, they have a lot of resources to do it. So, let's see.
Priority for me is still building around Zach. Do that first, and then let the defense take care of itself whenever you can.
Yeah, I mean, definitely get him a tight end, another receiver. I mean, you can get like another receiver to match up with, Elijah Moore going forward, and Corey Davis would be nice. Yeah. So who else we got? Do a few more here. Yeboah isn't getting enough love. He really impressed me. It's a good starting point for him, man. 2 catches. I think the issue with him early on was his blocking ability. Once he can get more physical at the line and do stuff, but he caught some passes, which is good. It's a good start, man.
And they were tough catches too, over the middle. One of them, I think he even juggled, took some contact. Like those weren't easy catches. I think the other one, like he slid down, it was near the ground. So give him credit for that.
Jets need a linebacker who can cover tight end. Well, it's either a linebacker or they need to improve the playmaking ability of the safeties. I don't think Ashton Davis is the answer by no means. I think we've seen enough of him. Like I save me the speeches on his coverage ability, his range. The dude can't tackle, and he takes the worst angles. Like I'm over that Ashton Davis experience, dude.
They need, and maybe it's Natural Dean, maybe it's Sherwood when he comes back, but I think they need a legitimate speed coverage linebacker.
Pinnock was playing pretty well, dude. He's an interesting guy too, but they need more speed.
/safety. They need something at linebacker. They need something.
Yeah, they got to upgrade their speed and their just a physical nature they have.
Yeah, you look at what Seattle was able to do with like KJ Wright and Wagner, and even the Bucs last year with Levante David and Devin White. I mean, you need some linebackers.
Next year will be 43 years. I have season tickets. Started going when I was a kid. Congratulations, man. The Jets should buy you a car. Shit, man. 43 years. They should come. They should cut your grass all summer long. Seriously.
My dad's close to you. It'll be 40 years next year. Actually, I think he started in '83. Whenever it was that the Jets beat the Packers in the final game at Shea Stadium, where they tore down the goalpost at the end, that's when my dad became a season ticket holder. Right after that.
Do you guys do streams in the off season? Come on, Brandon. What kind of question is that? We're insulted by that question. We do all kinds of stuff, man. Draft, free agency. We'll do weekly stuff, maybe some UFC stuff, Super Bowl. We had a mega Super Bowl party last year. We had a musical guest, for Christ's sake.
That's the only thing I'll toot our own horn about and take some pride in for all the other podcasts out there, which I respect a lot. Nobody else goes every single week like we have for 7 years. Nobody else does that shit.
We've been doing this shit a long time. We take no time off.
No,
maybe a couple weeks in the summertime if we're like partying too much or something. But we're always, the UFC streams. We do all kinds of stuff, man. We'll probably. The real cool thing is hopefully like this world comes back to normal at some point. We can try to arrange to maybe go to a baseball game or arrange some kind of like get-togethers at certain places, and we'll do all kinds of stuff, man.
Yep.
Let's see. Going into next year, who would you consider your de facto starting left tackle, Becton or Fant?
Fant. Until Becton proves he's healthy and at the right playing weight, it's got to be Fant, I think.
Here's one for you, prime time. LVT is a free agent next year.
Who is?
LVT? He's taking LDT, I'm guessing.
Who's LVT? Is he a free agent? Unrestricted?
I guess he's saying.
Oh, shit.
That's interesting. He's been a solid player, man.
So would you pay him then? And is he your starter? I don't know if I'd make him a starter.
He's been
fine bringing him back for depth. Yeah, I mean, if you want to bring him back as like your Alex Lewis or Van Roten type in a depth role, only if you need him, fine. I don't know if I'd bring him back as your starter though.
Legend is going to have his own channel soon. He will even have press credentials. I wouldn't be surprised. Based on the way things run these days, his insight is unmatched amongst. I watch a lot of stuff, dude. His analysis is on point. He can go toe to toe with Baldinger, I think, at times. That's I'm kind of biased, I guess.
He's gonna be on the SNY postgame show soon.
yeah. I mean, he can. Yeah, it matches. He'd fit right in. Still waiting for prime time to watch Titanic. It's nothing we haven't done yet.
You know what? I keep seeing like it's popping up on Netflix every now and then. I will actually want to watch it, but I want to make sure I can do it for the stream too. So.
Hey, Kevin, let's go Rangers. Hey, Steve, go do you got a shotgun, dude. You're not coming on the show. Just so you know, you will not be back on the show
tomorrow.
Yep. And if he's not on tomorrow night doing a shotgun, then it's 2. That's the way it works.
Oof.
So talk the talk, got to walk the walk.
I think it should be 2 tomorrow because he missed last week.
He's hiding now.
Yeah. He's
hiding. This is what happens, man. All bark, no bite. Typical Steve. So the SNY postgame should be canceled. They don't have to cancel it. I think that they should hold him accountable and they should apologize to Zach. And the Jets should probably kind of chime in and be like, listen, we pay a lot of you guys to come on our show and do things. Like, what do you – I miss Ray Lucas, man.
They're not going to apologize. They have too much pride for that.
No, they're getting too much attention from it now. They're all over the place now. They're adding their takes and getting interviews. But I miss like Klecko and Ray Lucas. Even like what was that? Chad Cascadden.
He wasn't bad too. I liked him too.
Yep. Eric Coleman. Like they added it was just different. Even what's his Tony Richardson was on there at some point.
Yeah, Richardson was good.
Yeah. So what do we got here? Do we finally cut Blake Cashman? So let Blake live, man.
Maybe he's the answer next year. We need a speed linebacker. You just gotta
Yeah,
stay up.
right. Yeah, after all the injuries he has, you put together a tape.
Blake Glassman.
Consider this my public apology to Zach Wilson for throwing him into the Josh Rosen camp by week 10. Listen, Timmy, you know what? I respect you for saying that because there's a lot of fans that are in the same boat that you are because I had them on my timeline attacking me for about 3 weeks. So there's a lot of haters he has, and apparently someone came out today with these selfish takes, but he's proven a lot of people wrong, man. He's faced a lot of adversity this year, primetime, and yesterday was pretty impressive. It was fun to watch.
Whether you embraced him or not initially, I feel like it's impossible not to at this point now with what he's been showing you.
Yep. So LDT salary this year was $2.75 million. Would you sign him in that range? Well, if you're going to bring him back, it's going to probably be like, are you bringing him back as the starter? Because if that's the case, you probably don't want some more. Or you bring him back as depth. That's the kind of, you got to figure out what role you're bringing him back in. Because if you tell him we want you back, you can think, well, as a starter, like, all right, then I want $5 million a year, $6 million a year. So
I don't know if I'd give him the job next year. He's played well, but I feel like you could probably upgrade, get somebody a little better than him, or possibly.
They haven't given any updates on Cam Clark, have they?
No.
That was a neck injury, though. They've been real quiet about that one.
And I liked him in training camp too. Thought he had some potential. One of the few guys from that draft.
Yeah. What about bringing Moses back at right tackle and playing Becton at guard? He's not a guard, dude.
I don't think so.
He's too big to play. He's not a guard. I mean, in my primitive, my poor football knowledge, I don't think he's a guard at all. Yeah. Are we confident that Zach is the guy? I'm a lot more confident today than I was 4 weeks ago. There's a lot of potential. He's showing a lot more now that is making everybody feel a little bit better about things, but he's got to keep growing on it. He's got to keep doing things.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. I mean, I think the early part of the year, you just chalked up to rookie growing pains. And I think we all had that stretch, during the injury and then immediately after where it's like, this guy's not completing passes to wide open guys that are, 5 feet away from him. Something's wrong here, but he's corrected that. He got rid of the yips or, whatever the mental shit was that was going on in his head. He got rid of that. He's been playing well the last 4 weeks. So I think he's showing you that he can figure it out.
Really random, but do any of you guys watch the Cobra Kai show? Primetime?
I do not.
I watched it up until the season that just came out. I haven't seen the new season yet, so I have not watched. I watched up until this point. So I know the new episodes came out, but I haven't seen it yet. So let's see. We can't answer that question, unfortunately. We want to keep our viewers. Just come when we have tailgates. Come to them.
We'll answer it at a tailgate.
Yeah, that's something we will not discuss in public. And you saw the aftermath of our Carolina trip. I mean, you could just imagine what our tailgates are like. That was a complete fiasco.
I don't think I've ever had any like real bad ones though.
Nah, I mean we've had some. I mean, yeah.
You probably have more exciting stories than I do.
We had some doozies over the years. Let's see, we got. What's the plan for this year's Super Bowl party? We got to figure it out. We should all go to Atlantic City and just party, but if we want to do a stream, we get to have musical guests and stuff.
Rap concert? Cooking
Rap
show?
concert? Here's one for you, Primetime. If you had to rank the QBs of the AFC East, what is your ranking? This is a good question.
Oof.
So Josh Allen's 1.
It's so hard, though. I mean, how do you look at the other 3 at this point? I mean, 2 is in a great situation right now. Mac Jones is in a phenomenal situation for a rookie quarterback. I think Zach Wilson has more tools probably than both of them.
But Mac Jones, at this point, Mac Jones has played better than Mac Jones has played better than Wilson. And then Tua is probably done more than Mac Jones, I would guess, at this point, right?
So if you put Wilson on the Patriots this year, are they still in the playoffs?
But yeah, but we had rank them as they are, though. We can't say it's going to be. I'd say it's going to be Allen, Tua, Mac Jones, Wilson at right now. Mac Jones he's won games, man. Zach Wilson's the last 3 weeks. Zach Wilson's been better, but has he played? I mean,
it's not Tua second right now. I don't know.
I don't like Tua.
Josh Allen's definitely 1, but I feel like you could put 2, 3, and 4 in pretty much any order.
Yep, and justify it.
Yeah.
Like Zach Wilson is a lot more like Mac Jones is about the winning and where they've gotten to like now in the playoffs. So you're giving them credit for that. then Tua, they've won. They won, what, 7 in a row going into yesterday. Got to give them credit for that, even though it's just the winning is what kind of gets it. It's like, are you looking at winning or stats?
Yep.
You know, that's a good question, though. And I know, like, I'm not discounting Wilson because he played great yesterday. I'm just saying, how do you assess the rankings? What do you base it off of?
Yeah, if Mac Jones was a Jet also, I mean, he's not winning as a Jet. He's winning because he's in the Patriot system right now. I don't think he's turning the Jets around. I don't think he's that much better than Tua or Zach, if he's even better at all. So I don't know. It's a good question, though.
It's a real good question. You can argue about all of them, to be honest with you. We'll do a couple more here. So Ball's going big here. He's going Josh, Zach, Mac Jones, and Tua. That's what power to you, man. Let's see. Yeah, I get it. I understand the whole Mac Jones things where he said he only had one game, only threw 5 passes because they run the ball like crazy. That's what I'm saying. How do you assess a quarterback? Is it, the QBR? Is it passing yards? Is it touchdowns? Touchdown interception rate? Is it wins? For me, it's about winning, man. Like that's probably the most important thing for any quarterback. So, and this, you could say this too. Zach has the highest ceiling. I'm not gonna say he's a higher ceiling than Josh Allen. Let's see if you're gonna compare him against Tua and Mac Jones. Maybe that's true. But right now, Josh Allen's he's at a high level, man.
Yep.
Let's see. Are we in a better position than the Dolphins?
Not yet.
Nope.
Could be. Because the Dolphins, they're winning. They're winning right now, and they also have all those extra picks from the trade down with the Niners. So they're set up really good right now.
I like their coach too, man. I like the coach, and they're trying to figure out. Like, I think the Dolphins are in a spot right now where if they're not completely sold on Tua, they may make a splash for a Russell Wilson, or I don't think Aaron Rodgers would go there. They're gonna make a Deshaun Watson, the guy they keep talking about, and they were gonna. The rumor is that the deal was done, but they wanted certain assurances after the deal, and they wouldn't get those. That's why they didn't go through with it.
That's the only thing. Like the Jets just focusing on themselves, they could be like a legitimate, like they could have a legitimate roster next year. But then you look at all the other talent, not just in our division, but the way that the fucking Bengals and Burrow are playing right now, what the Chargers could be doing. You got the Chiefs in there. I mean, the Brown. Like there's so much talent in the AFC right now. It's like we got a long way to go still.
What was more painful, the loss to Denver or Pittsburgh in the championship games? Oh, dude, that's a great question because I'll say broken. To me, the Denver game broke my heart more because I thought the Jets were the best team in the NFL. I thought they were. I thought they win that game. They had a 10-point lead too, and they were loaded. And they already beat the Falcons earlier that year, and they were the full team. They had playmakers on offense. The defense was playing great. Hall of Fame coach. That game broke my heart. I was miserable for 2 weeks. I wouldn't even talk to people.
I'm gonna go the opposite, just because I was only 10 years old when the Denver game happened. So I was still a little bit, I was still a little bit naive. I expected, they'd probably be back all the time. I hadn't been crushed by all the losing yet. And then, you go through all the 2000s and you're watching the Patriots win. And then finally you take them out. And it's like, we're here. We finally made it. And even had the year before where you got close. And now you're thinking, all right, this is it. Now we're finally going to go. And they don't even show up in the first half. So I think that one probably broke my heart a little bit more.
Yeah, but they didn't show up in the first half. The Jets Broncos game, they had 6 turnovers. Guys that never fumbled in their life. Byers, Curtis Martin, Dave Meggett missed a fucking kickoff. Like, it was just, and that team was so good, dude. Like, they were a powerhouse. Like, they were blowing out teams week in and week out. You knew they're going to win. Like, they were just that good. Where I think with the Pittsburgh game, I was in Pittsburgh for that game, which is even worse. But it was like they were so young, but it was like, like, I don't know. They're both tough because I thought if Sanchez got the ball one more time, I thought he won the game. But
me too.
But that was like they were, Sanchez was playing good, but Vinny Testaverde, Keyshawn Johnson, Wayne Corbett, Curtis Martin, they were at a different level, dude. They were so good. That was just for 2 weeks. I talked to them for 2 weeks, dude. I was like, people in my office wouldn't even look at me. They're just like, leave him alone. Like, he's like the angry bear in the corner. Just leave him alone.
And the even worse part about the Falcon game was that we blew them out when we played them in the regular season too.
Yep. They would have whooped their ass, dude. They would have. I had tickets to the game. I was ready, dude. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. The Jets-Jags playoff game was probably the most memorable game I've ever been to, man. That was Keyshawn Johnson had a game of his life. He had like a rushing touchdown, receiving touchdown, an interception, and a fumble recovery. So, yeah, it was unbelievable. That place was rocking, dude. I've never hugged so many Jet fans in my life. Like, after the game, the whole parking lot was a big party. People running around with champagne bottles and shit. It was just.
Jet Coldplay game was pretty wild too.
Yeah, that was too. No, there
That
was.
place went nuts, especially when they realized like Peyton Manning was just like he wasn't ready for
Yep.
what that crowd brought that day.
Nope.
He was not ready for that.
The Jet fans get criticized for a lot of things, man. But when a big game like that at home, the place goes absolutely berserk. It's just we don't get enough chances like that, unfortunately.
Two.
So
Entire life. Two.
apparently, whoops, what is this? Oh, I hit the wrong button. Could you guys see a scenario where the AFC East becomes the first division to have all 4 teams in the playoffs?
Oof. Could be.
Oh, that's gonna be. It could be. I mean, could be.
Let's say the Dolphins make a trade for Watson or Russell Wilson or somebody like that, and the Jets progress as we think they're gonna. We would expect and we would hope to be a playoff team within 2 years. I would hope. Patriots, I don't think they're going anywhere unless Belichick retires, and the Bills, they're going to be around for a while, so definitely possible.
That'd be interesting.
Just so many games against each other, it's hard.
Yeah, that's you can't put, you don't want like 3 losses in your AFC. Like you say, if you lose, you split with each person in your division. That's 3 losses. It's That's a good question. That's an interesting question, to be honest with you. I just think the Dolphins are going to make a big splash at quarterback. So you're going to have Josh Allen, say Deshaun Watson, Mac Jones, whatever. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Do 2 more prime times. I heard Baker Mayfield's falling apart tonight, so I'm going to see what's going on.
Saw that.
Let's see. How would you compare Zach's rookie's performance to Sam's? I don't know. I don't really.
Sam's rookie year down the stretch, I mean, this is what I was always defending him about. Were like those final 4 games where he went toe to toe with Deshaun Watson. He had, I think, it was like 350 yards. Against Aaron Rodgers, that Packer game. Like he had some of those big moments, but he was also throwing some interceptions. Like he had some flaws that he definitely had to work on. Biggest difference, I think, is going to be going into year 2, where instead of Darnold learning a new system with absolutely no help around him, Wilson's going to be adding more talent and being in the same system with LaFleur, who's already proven that he can make it work with other guys. So.
Yeah, I think you want to see a quality performance out of Zach Wilson next week. I know it's gonna be a tough spot in Buffalo, crazy crowd, cold weather, everything else, but he's got to keep building off, man. Keep stacking good performances. I think a lot of situations gonna be apples and oranges in terms of what Wilson's working with too. So, Thank you for a great show. Thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate it. Thank you very much, Steve. The Kingdom of Steve. Thank you, man. It's always interesting. I like the best thing about posting videos, dude, is in the comments. People like the people that sometimes attack you, the names they come up with are sometimes are freaking hysterical, dude. Like you got like I get ready to like rip them, I come back and like yell at them. I'm like, dude, look at the name of this. I'm like, I can't go do this. Yep. So let's see. Thank you. Let's see. We played good against the Bucs. We have to be positive. I think for the most part, we're pretty positive tonight. We attacked the media. Yeah, we defended everybody, and that was it.
There's progress. That's all we've asked for.
Anthony, we appreciate it. So we'll we'll wrap things up tomorrow night, 8:00. And supposedly Tyrone's going to join us tomorrow night for the call-in show. That's what he said. So we'll see. And then you better answer Rachel, because now she's messaging me saying that you're a jerk. So
where'd she message me? What account?
Bro, not my problem. You got to figure it out. You're the thing of you're media mogul over there. You got to figure it out. So we'll talk to you guys later.
Have a good night.